Hi, guys. Today we are going to learn how to determine the main idea. Hashtag, what does it all mean? This will help you not only in English, but in your other subjects like science when you're able to determine what the information all boils down to. So, step one. Sorry, guys, but you're going to have to read. Yeah, it's the easiest step, but it's one that we most often skip because we have developed a habit where we just skim the paragraphs or chapters instead of reading for content. We try to rush, and for some things, that's okay. But that won't work if you're trying to determine what the author's message is. So the process begins with taking in the information. That means you're going to read it and you're going to turn it over in your heads. You're going to mull it over and try to pick out the important parts. And once we have that, we can dismiss everything else. That means we have fewer choices. And that always works better for me. I would rather choose from two than choose from six. So we take those important parts, put them together, see what they have in common and what they may lead to. So I'm sorry this is a little blurry, but this is the only way I could get it onto my slide. So our step two is to pick out and group the most important parts. So, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, that's our first sentence, was the heroine of the Everglades, a unique environment in Florida. Many animals make their home in this wetland region. Nevertheless, for years the Everglades were being drained off for buildings and roads. The water was polluted. So, Douglas wrote a book, The Everglades River of Grass. In it, she explained why the Everglades were important and should be protected. In 1969, Douglas started an organization called Friends of the Everglades. The Friends kept an airport from being built there. Okay, if we look at it, the things in the middle, sentences 2 through 7, really have to do with very specific information about the Everglades. What's wrong with it? Why that's a problem. Okay, so let's go into step 3 to analyze what we just read. So, what we're going to do is take the majority of the information that points to the same fact, and then we're going to determine our answer. If all of the information points to one thing, great, super awesome. That's easy. But when it doesn't, we just have to do the best we can with what information we have. So, let's look at our paragraph before. Our topic needs to be broad instead of being very specific. So, for example, the answer to the paragraph would not be animals make their homes in the Everglades, but people and pollution have made it unlivable. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas was the hero that made the Everglades safer for the animals to live and thrive there. Yes, that's great, but that's a summary, not a main idea. Okay, that's way too specific. If you're trying to find a main idea, you want to leave out the small, specific details. Work your way around the large, important ones. So, a better answer would be Marjorie Stoneman Douglas fought to keep the Everglades clean and productive. By saying clean, we are talking here that it's safer for everyone. And by everyone, I guess I mean plants and animals. And it's productive, which means that the animals can live there and continue to live there and be safe and prosper. Okay, let's look at this one. This one is going to be one of your easier prompts when you read it. So, what I've done is I've highlighted or underlined some important things here that I wanted to point out for you. So, Jack and I decided that we needed a break from watching shows. We decided to head outside and build a fort. In the nearby forest, we found long branches, an old tarp, and some heavy rocks, all perfect for building the fort. We found a piece of level ground, and using some rope from the garage, we tied the biggest branches to a tree to make a lean to. All the rest of the branches we leaned against the biggest one, and then Jack and I secured the tarp to the top to protect us from wind and rain. It was perfect timing. because just then we felt a bit of rain spitting down. We ran to the house to grab some snacks, berries, yogurt, and cookies, then headed under the fort to tell stories. So this one is one of the easier ones because they are repeating specific information. If an author repeats that information, it means it's important and you should pay attention. So the main idea of this paragraph would be building a fort. Okay, the basketball tournament is scheduled for next week, but there have been some problems putting it together. For starters, the gymnasium at school is undergoing repairs, and the workers aren't sure they can be done on time. Also, there is a major storm brewing off the coast, which might cause delays for other teams traveling here. Finally, we have ordered a new score clock, and it will need to be mounted as soon as it arrives. There's lots of planning to be done and not very much time left. I hope it all works out. So, what we are looking at here, the author said, hey, there's some problems, then listed the problems, and then ended with a look to the future. I hope, all this is going to be okay. So, our main idea of this one is the problems that the basketball tournament is facing. Now, this I copied directly out of iExcel. So, what our job is to choose the main idea that ties the three details at the top together. What do they all have in common? So, the first one, helicopters are sometimes used to carry loads of water that help put out forest fires. Second one, ships in the middle of the ocean often receive supplies from helicopters. And the third one, helicopters can be used to rescue people in hard to reach areas. So, if we have those three things, let's look at our choices. And I'm a big fan of eliminating choices that I know are wrong because, again, I like to pick from a smaller group. So, helicopters are used to complete tough jobs. Well, let's look at this first one. If they're carrying loads of water for forest fires, yeah, that's a tough job. Flying to the middle of the ocean to drop off supplies, yeah, that's a tough job. Rescuing people in hard to reach areas, tough job. So while this is probably our answer, let's look and make sure before we rush to judgment on this first one. Okay, helicopters move in special ways. I know I can mark that one out because none of these three things talked about how helicopters actually move. So we're going to take that one out. Helicopters can carry heavy objects to help with construction. Well, yes, they can carry heavy objects if they're carrying loads of water and carrying supplies. But this word here, construction, nothing up here talks about building anything, so we can take this one out. So this is going to be our correct answer. And this will show you how to write a main idea because you can see this is general, it's not specific, it's not naming a tough job. It's just grouping all of these things into being a difficult job to do. Okay? So hang in there. You've got this. And as always, I love you and email me if you have questions. Bye, guys.